To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
Frontierland, Tomorrowland, and it was a wonderland.
It's a small world after all.
The Jungle Cruise.
I am a Haunted Mansion diehard.
Welcome, foolish mortals.
Hello!
People tried to touch his sleeve. People kept saying, God bless you, Walt.
Join us to celebrate 70 years of Disneyland.
Girl, you look good for your age.
You would go through those doors at Disneyland, through the gates, and the rest of the world just went away.
There is a memory that I wanted to share with you. There are two. Well, there are three. Well, there's probably 1,500.
Now, a look into the future.
What's the new stuff?
We're building this amazing new attraction with Robert Downey Jr. Starflight Lab is going to be an incredible addition to Avengers Campus.
We're taking you behind the scenes.
Super secret, so don't tell anyone.
How it almost didn't happen.
There were a lot of people that predicted it was going to be a spectacular failure.
We have about 10 seconds to get down to Disneyland for the big anniversary celebration.
That's what Disneyland is all about. One man's dream to change the way Americans have fun.
My dream is to be a Jungle Cruise skipper. Folks, please do not try this at home.
And Walt, as you've never seen him before.
We keep moving forward, opening up new doors.
By far the most technologically advanced audio animatronic figure we have ever created.
The surprises and secrets. The history and heart of Disneyland.
Well, they don't call it the happiest place on earth for no reason.
Why don't you go on without me, and I'll be catching up with you somewhere along the line.
I can't even finish a sentence right now. I'm so excited.
I believe I've been to Disneyland at least 40 to 50 times.
The very first time I was ever excited about something and couldn't sleep was because I knew I was going to Disneyland.
I still remember every moment from the Haunted Mansion because I was so scared. I remember it very vividly.
My dad, if you were to ask me, pound for pound, his legacy is Woody.
Howdy, my name is Woody, and this is Andy's room.
I have been at Disneyland for birthdays, for Christmas, for Thanksgiving. I would say 70 times.
My sister and I, we had a little contest. Who could see the tip of the Matterhorn first? That's when you knew you were getting near Disneyland. There's nothing like it.
The core DNA of Disneyland, in a word, is memory. Memory is the engine on which Disneyland runs.
Give her a kiss.
Forget Christmas. Forget birthdays. It was Disneyland for me.
You just feel this sense of Walt's spirit. This is where it all began.
Here age relives fond memories of the past, and here youth may savor the challenge and promise of the future.
What I love about Disney is that it has always managed to balance its legacy, its heritage, with the need to constantly innovate and be relevant.
What plans for the future do you have at Disneyland? Well, there's a little plaque out there that says, as long as there is imagination left in the world, Disneyland will never be complete.
That meant for the 70th celebration, Disneyland was thinking big.
We feel like we're at a point in our history where the technology has met the moment, the 70th anniversary. We have a brand new attraction, Walt Disney, A Magical Life, where for the first time, we're going to get to bring Walt to new generations of fans in animatronic format.
Decades have gone by, and there are many people that might just think, Walt Disney was a brand name. But no, it's a real person who had highs and lows in his life and who was an inspiration.
At the Opera House on Main Street, USA, Walt Disney: A Magical Life features a first-of-its-kind Walt Disney audio animatronics figure. It's a technology that Walt himself pioneered.
You know, there's a lot of satisfaction in developing ideas into realities.
Walt's actual voice is used. We wanted to make sure that everything was as accurate as possible when they were portraying Walt.
Walt talked with his hands, and so we knew we had to have hands that were more expressive than anything we'd ever done before.
To see a dimensional figure of Walt feels like you're in the same room with him, and it's really touching and inspirational. A unique story in American culture.
That story starts over 100 years ago, when Walt comes to Los Angeles on a train from Kansas City.
LA is kind of the place where everybody comes to reinvent themselves, even today. And so Walt Disney comes out here to reinvent himself because his animation company was bankrupt.
Well, I came to Hollywood and arrived here in August 1923 with $40 in my pocket and a coat and a pair of trousers that didn't match. I tried to get a job in Hollywood, working in the picture business so I could learn it, and there was nothing open, so before I knew it, I had my drawing board out.
That drawing board would produce the Alice comedies, A Little Girl in a Cartoon World, and Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. And then another character that would become a phenomenon.
Well, I'd fool around a lot with little mice, and they were always cute characters, and so I decided it would be with a mouse.
And with that mouse, Walt famously takes a chance on the first cartoon with synchronized sound, Steamboat Willie. Then another bold gamble with the first feature-length animated movie that risks bankrupting his young studio, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs.
Just whistle while you work.
He was a visionary. He sees things before we see them. He sees the need for a full-length animated film.
Hi-ho, it's home from work we go.
And he sees the need for a place where parents and kids can have fun together.
Where did you originally get the first notion for Disneyland?
Well, it came about when my daughters were very young, and Saturday was always Daddy's Day with the two daughters. And I would take them to the merry-go-round, and I took them different places. And as I'd sit there while they rode the merry-go-round, I felt that there should be something built where that the parents and the children could have fun together.
Walt's interest in amusement parks goes all the way back to his childhood when he was a kid in Kansas City, and he used to go over to Electric Park. There was about 5 or 6 acres that were rides and games.
Before Walt moved to Kansas City, he spent his early childhood in Marceline, Missouri, and that's where he developed another fascination.
In Marceline, there was a train track. If you go there, that ran fairly close by his house.
His love of trains goes all the way back to his childhood. He worked as a news butcher on one of the local railroad lines. He was enamored with the mechanics of trains ever since he was a kid.
In terms of the larger design for Disneyland, the park, I would say there are key moments that help Walt think through the process of what he's going to eventually build.
One of those key moments happens in 1948 when Walt goes to the Chicago Railroad Fair with fellow train enthusiast Ward Kimball, one of his top animators.
They have an Indian village. They have a pageant of railroad trains and people in costume dressing up in top hats and period wardrobe.
They ended up leaving the fair and going up to Dearborn, Michigan, and went to Henry Ford's Greenfield Village.
And that's a place that has a river with a paddle wheel steamer on it, and it has a main street. And he gets back from the Chicago Railroad Fair. He gets back from Greenfield Village. And within a week, he writes a memo to one of his art directors, Dick Kelsey. And in that memo, he outlines what Disneyland is.
The memo, written in August 1948, reads, "The main village, which includes the railroad station, is built around a village green. Around the park will be built the town. But there's one more trip Walt takes, which will solidify his idea for this new kind of family amusement park."
He visited Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen just to get inspiration.
The buildings are surrounded by little tracer lights like Main Street is at Disneyland. There's a marching band.
This is Walt's curiosity on overdrive, really.
Walt sees that this might be a way to transform how amusements work in the United States.
Then there's this aha moment, a way he can personalize his park, make it his own. This idea that he can bring some of his own animated characters to life.
Walt started getting inundated with fan mail from people who wanted to come to the studio and see where Mickey Mouse and Snow White lived.
So I had a little dream for Disneyland adjoining the studio.
This park was going to be across the street from the Disney studio in Burbank.
It's a little parcel of land on Riverside Drive. He has one of his artists draw that park, and there's a lake with an island in the middle.
They went to the city of Burbank and started pitching this idea.
But the city isn't very interested in leasing land for an amusement park because they feel it's going to be noisy and perhaps dirty.
Turns out the people of beautiful downtown Burbank would not be the only naysayers that Walt would be up against.
There were a lot of naysayers about Disneyland.
Saying that this was a disaster waiting to happen.
This theme park, it's a stupid idea. It's not going to succeed.
Little did he realize that building the happiest place on earth would mean risking it all.
He literally did bet the farm.
My name is Mark Gonzalez, and I am a steam train engineer for the Walt Disney Company. A little after I got my job here, I read through a biography that I got of Walt Disney and realized that he liked trains. Seeing the reactions on people's faces when you're just passing on by. They're very happy, they're very excited, and that's what's magical about this place, Disneyland.
The earliest drawn plans for the Disneyland-style park all have a train in them.
So, it's 1954. It's a landmark year in American pop culture. Marilyn Monroe marries Joe DiMaggio. Elvis bursts onto the scene. And Walt Disney starts to bring his dream of Disneyland to life, pivoting away from Burbank to a town that's barely on the map.
We're approaching Anaheim now, almost there. Turn right at the next corner, Harbor Boulevard, and here we are at Disneyland.
The city of Anaheim was very small back then. It was orange groves, mostly.
It smelled like citrus blossoms, and there was a lot of land, and it was cheap.
It was also close enough to Los Angeles, and they were building the new Santa Ana freeway.
This location, by the way, was chosen with the aid of traffic experts as the most accessible spot in Southern California.
Here's the problem. As so many times in Walt Disney's life, he doesn't have the money for it. How do you translate that idea into a reality when you have no money?
Enter Walt's brother, Roy Disney. He manages the company's finances. He's among the first of Walt's many naysayers.
In a way, it's like the biggest gamble in Hollywood at a time when his brother was saying that let's just retire. You know, we've made enough to live comfortably the rest of our lives. We've made Cinderella and Snow White and, you know, famous films that people loved around the world, and Walt wasn't ready to stop yet.
Even Walt's own wife, Lillian, needs convincing.
She said, well, you know, carnivals and fairs are dirty places, and they're not wholesome for families, and they're not clean, and they're not nice. And he said, but that's the difference. My park will be nice, and it'll be family friendly. And he talked her into the idea.
Now he has to convince investors, and he needs something to show them. He has the genius idea to have a brilliant illustrator draw a map.
Walt calls up one of the people who used to work for him, Herb Ryman.
Ryman worked on Dumbo and Fantasia, and that's in addition to his work on another classic film.
Ryman had worked on The Wizard of Oz, and in particular the Emerald City sequence.
The telephone rang, and it was Walt. He said, Herbie, he said, I'm going to do an amusement park. Roy's got to show them what this is going to look like. And so I got excited, and I said, well, gee, I said, I'd like to see it too. And he said, you're going to do it.
So Walt gets together, spends the weekend sleeping on Herb Ryman's sofa, and they put this amazing map together.
This is the pretty iconic 1953 Herb Ryman map, and from this map, this is the first time that we're getting an aerial view of Disneyland.
The second stroke of genius going to those who do have cash in 1954, and that's the TV networks.
Roy Disney went to New York and showed them Walt's plans. They went first to CBS.
They wanted our television show, and I kept insisting I wanted this amusement park. And everybody says, what the hell does he want that damn amusement park for?
And they got a no, and then they went to NBC and got another no, and then ended up at the smallest and newest, the upstart network, which was ABC.
This has been an ABC television
ABC
network.
was a struggling company in the early 50s, and they needed content. Walt, on the other hand, needed capital, so they struck a deal. Disney said, I will give you television content, and you give us the money to finish Disneyland.
And they did. ABC gives them $500,000.
Disneyland will combine the facilities and creativeness of two great organizations, the Disney Studios and the American Broadcasting Company.
ABC needed the television show so damn bad that they bought the amusement park.
And Walt is happy to oblige. He graces the cover of TV Guide the week his show debuts.
I remember Wednesday nights being very exciting because that's when everybody sat down and watched Disneyland.
Here now to tell you about it is Walt Disney.
Welcome.
I think more so than the other heads of studios in Hollywood, Walt saw television as an opportunity more than as a threat. He thought this was where the American public was going.
That's it, right here. Disneyland.
Walt Disney used the television show as an ongoing advertisement for the park.
We hope that through our television shows that you will join us and take part in the building of Disneyland.
As a 4-year-old in 1955, I actually remember watching Walt build Disneyland on television.
The 4 different worlds from which our television shows will originate: Adventureland, Tomorrowland, Fantasyland, and Frontierland.
We couldn't wait until it was finished so we could actually visit this magical place.
Our first job was to clear these 160 acres, to create the rolling hills, mountains, and over 2 miles of lake and riverbeds. We've already moved over 300,000 cubic yards of dirt.
The pre-opening report from Disneyland.
On our test stage, several of the planned rides were reproduced in full scale. Here's a test model of Peter Pan's famous pirate ship as it will swoop through the London skies.
But here's the interesting part. See, the people designing these worlds are not who you'd expect.
Walt didn't use architects. He was a movie guy, and he used the language of filmmaking and storytelling to build Disneyland.
He needed people that had experience, practical experience, building real sets to scale, and those people came from the film studios.
He goes to art directors, Harper Goff, who had worked on Casablanca. Goff grew up in Fort Collins, Colorado, and a lot of the architectural style, that idealized turn of the century, comes from Fort Collins.
The Disneyland he's building is a show, and Walt, the showman, sees Main Street USA as the opening act of that show.
The world was a complicated place, full of tensions in the Cold War, and Walt wanted a place that you could suspend your disbelief and get away from it all.
He created a place where people could actually escape their daily frets, as he would say, leave the real world and enter a fantasy world or a world of adventure.
He was creating immersive entertainment at a time when it didn't really exist yet.
But this fantasy world has a real-world deadline.
An amazing deadline, and the deadline comes from television.
See, as part of the ABC deal, Walt has to finish Disneyland in time for a planned live broadcast of the park's grand opening.
At the end, they were working around the clock.
But grand is not quite the word which best describes opening day.
The park is not really ready to open.
There's a gas leak in the castle, so blue flames are coming out of the bottom of the castle for a while.
I mean, it was a fiasco. It was a complete mess.
It is time now to celebrate Disneyland's 70th anniversary. Starts this morning. Will Reed is on the scene. Hey, Will.
The celebrations are at full volume here this morning.
This July 17th, a milestone is celebrated with smiles, not just from guests, but from the people who make the magic happen.
When Walt first introduced the world to this special place, it changed the world forever. Happy birthday, Disneyland. Thank you very much. Thank you.
All this seemingly implausible 70 years ago, on opening day in July of 1955, which was anything but smooth.
If you were to go visit that site 6 or 9 months before that date, it was empty. And on top of it, Walt committed with ABC to a once-in-a-lifetime opening day broadcast.
He literally did bet the farm. He had to be ridiculously anxious. I know I would have been.
Walt is there the night before Disneyland opens, and he's working with the crews to help finish it.
Finally, at 2 o'clock in the morning, he said, I got to get some sleep. He got locked in his apartment on Main Street, so he had to get somebody to come and open the door for him on opening day. You know, it was just full of everything that could possibly go wrong.
Tomorrowland, was still barely functioning. So things were not quite ready, but they went ahead anyway.
Opening day of Disneyland was July 17th, 1955.
Walt debuts Disneyland to a national audience via a television show.
How do you do, everyone? This is Hank Weaver. For the past year, this signature has announced the opening of Disneyland, the show. Now it announces the opening of Disneyland, the place.
There are roughly 24 cameras. ABC has to borrow them from local affiliates.
There's cameras from Nevada and Colorado. They have cameras and cable everywhere that people are tripping over.
8 weeks of rehearsals. There was a cast of all-stars.
Adventureland.
Oh, that's my favorite.
Walt had a number of hosts who were good friends of his. Bob Cummings.
Bob Cummings, ladies and gentlemen.
Art Linkletter.
Mr. Disney.
And there was another special host who went on to become the President of the United States.
Ronnie Reagan, come on in. Yeah, and how about that son of yours? I've been buttering up to him all morning.
There are several things in that opening day broadcast.
The cameras are in the other direction, Danny.
It was pandemonium in some instances.
I don't know whether the cameras are picking me up or not, and I think if he ever gets a microphone, we'll be able to talk to him.
I thought I got a signal.
All good. You did.
Not all of Main Street has been paved. Asphalt comes in that morning to finish it off.
There are stories about women's heels sinking into the asphalt.
There was a natural gas fire right by the castle.
One of the first problems at Disneyland when it opened was the freeway was a mess. They also had twice as many guests as they had invited. People were forging tickets. People were climbing into the park.
So they issued maybe 10,000 or so tickets. 30,000 people show up. Once you got in, you couldn't get a drink of water because the plumbers were on strike.
With the plumber strike, they literally had to choose between having water fountains or toilets working.
Obviously, they went to toilet facilities, or it was a necessity.
I went in on July 17th, 1955. The first thing is I wanted to drive those Autopia cars, okay, in Tomorrowland. And I hauled over to Tomorrowland to drive the Autopia cars. When I got over there, they were all broke down.
And one of the last living Imagineers who can talk about the creation of Disneyland is 93-year-old Bob Gurr.
The Autopia cars, because it's a hot day, there were little gasoline putt-putt motors, and they would stall if they idled too long.
But when the cars did run,
we had people trying to crash into one another.
Now, these all have aluminum bumpers, so they can't hurt anybody.
So there we are, the cameras are rolling, the band's playing.
And there's Mickey and Minnie Mouse and all of the gang.
So Walt steps to the microphone and issues what probably is one of the most iconic Disney speeches that exists.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome. Disneyland is your land.
Walt did his dedication of the castle in order the drawbridge to be dropped.
Open the Fantasyland Castle!
I got to be the first ones to cross the drawbridge going into Fantasyland. My name is Rob Fishley, and 70 years ago, on July 17, 1955, I was 7 years old. And boom, off we went. They told us, go, run. Yeah, it was a great, exhilarating feeling. It was exciting. Despite the heat and any other problems, I think everybody had a pretty great time.
And so the reviews were like, well, it was okay, but it was a mess.
People would use the words like Black Sunday. Well, I never saw it as Black Sunday. I saw it as so exciting.
The cool thing is the public didn't care, and what happened is 90 million viewers watched that opening day. Half of the population of America was watching the opening of Disneyland.
And those millions of people at home, they wanted to go.
We took the lessons that we learned from the opening of Disneyland and used it moving forward. A couple months later, we were hitting our millionth guest at Disneyland.
I had a friend that lived down near Disneyland, and he invited me down to go to the park. You know, it was everything that I thought it would be and more. Nothing happens without failure. And that's the important part, is to understand that and to realize that you can think outside the box.
Disneyland is dedicated to the ideals, the dreams, and the hard facts that have created America, with the hope that it will be a source of joy and inspiration to all the world.
Now, the really hard part. Walt has to figure out how to keep people coming back. And that means new attractions. And one of those new attractions just might have enough magic to inspire a very different Disney classic.
His dreams were larger than most people's.
Next year, Star Wars is returning to the big screen for the first time since 2019, continuing the adventures of the Mandalorian and Grogu.
Cut. Yay, we got it.
For director Jon Favreau, a simple stroll through Disneyland one day became an unexpected casting call.
The Imagineers are always working on things, and when they showed me what the BDX droids were going to be doing, I asked if I could use them in the show. And we were able to work them into the fabric of the film.
The BDX droids each have their own personality. There we go. You can interact with them, you can dance with them, just like a real character. We're always trying things out, and we're always reaching towards the stars, right?
As was, of course, Walt Disney back in 1954. When he was trying to make a monster squid look truly alive for his upcoming live-action film 20,000 Leagues Under the Sea. And this is way before CGI. That fascination with how living creatures move, it's on full display once on a fateful trip to New Orleans with his wife, when Walt visits an antique store and something catches his eye.
He found a mechanical bird in a gilded cage, and it would give you a song and swing its tail feathers back and forth.
He gave it to his studio machine shop and said, how can we create realistic characters in 3 dimension?
Walt thought, hey, this is a way where we can entertain people in a way they haven't seen before.
Now, to accomplish this, we created a new type of animation. So new that we had to invent a new name for it.
Audio animatronics?
Right, audio animatronics.
And that evolved and turned out to become the Tiki Birds in the Tiki Room.
The Tiki Room is magical.
Welcome to Walt Disney's Enchanted Tiki Room.
You don't even know what's supposed to be happening, and then these birds come to life.
What darling people I have sitting under me.
The walls start talking, everything changes.
It had a wonderful soundtrack, and that was created by the Sherman brothers, Richard and Robert Sherman. The iconic song, in the Tiki 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 Room.
Tiki 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 Room. I need to sing words and the flowers grow.
In the Tiki 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 Room.
It's like a chef's kiss, that attraction.
It's a new toy for us, and we're having a lot of fun, and we hope we can really do some exciting things in the future.
By 1964, audio animatronics are making their Hollywood debut, alongside a practically perfect nanny.
There was a wire that went up my shoulder and down my back, and the little robin was perched there.
For a spoonful of sugar helps the medicine go down.
And I hid a lot of the wires, stroking him with my other hand.
And And that, of course, led to great moments with Mr. Lincoln.
Ever since I was a small boy in Illinois, I've had a great personal admiration for Abraham Lincoln. Now, to recreate a truly lifelike image of Lincoln, we use our new medium of audio animatronics.
Walt has the Lincoln figure created for the 1964-65 New York World's Fair, but not before the Imagineers work out a few of Honest Abe's kinks.
The Abraham Lincoln project was unsuccessful for about a year. Lincoln, when he would malfunction, everybody learned to stay way back because you never knew what he's going to do. He would crash a chair occasionally, so it was kind of entertaining to watch a flailing president. And then Lincoln worked beautifully.
The final result is so lifelike that you might find it hard to believe.
Our reliance is in the love of liberty.
An amazing thing for Walt Disney. He knew he wanted to push this art form forward.
Fast forward about 6 decades, and it seems only fitting the audio animatronic Abraham Lincoln now shares a venue with Walt Disney himself. That new attraction, Walt Disney: A Magical Life, plays daily at the Main Street Opera House. And he's larger than life.
They're around 2,000 pounds. It's a lot of machinery. This 2,000 pounds of an audio animatronic figure steps forward and rises during its performance and then leans back down in the most beautiful, human-like way possible. And that was a huge feat for the team to accomplish.
Talk about a full circle moment. I'd like to think that Walt, if he were here today, would look at that and say, wow, technology has come so far that it could even enable something like that.
And other audio animatronics have continued to evolve and amaze, from Elsa at Hong Kong Disneyland to the Shaman of Songs at the Na'vi River Journey at Disney's Animal Kingdom. And then there's Star Wars: Rise of the Resistance at Galaxy's Edge.
You will tell me the location of the secret base, and then I will destroy you and the Resistance.
The audio animatronics in that show are what brings it to life and what makes you feel the stress, the pressure of trying to escape. You are part of the Resistance, and they're looking at you. Kylo Ren is chasing after you.
Get us clear so we can make the jump.
The technology is always and only there in order to deliver that emotion.
The location of the Resistance base is secure.
But for some experiences, there's nothing like a living, breathing person telling corny dad jokes.
Anybody know why tigers have stripes?
No, why?
So they won't be spotted.
I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to do that?
Josh Gad sure does what it takes to become a Jungle Cruise skipper when we return.
Welcome aboard the Jungle Cruise, folks, and we are off. We've got some gorgeous limestone, but you know, most people take that for granted. Oh, come on, I thought that joke was rock solid.
It just brings me back to my childhood. Hi, everyone.
Here's something a lot of people may not know. Before he was the voice of Olaf in Frozen.
Oh, look at that. I've been impaled. I'm Olaf.
Josh Gad had a dream of being in a very different Disney story.
I went to Disney casting offices out of high school, and I show up and I tell the person, my dream is to be a Jungle Cruise skipper. I love acting, I love performing. The casting person did not think that that would suit me and instead offered me a job at concessions, probably because I look like I really enjoy concessions.
Jungle Cruise, one of the classic legacy attractions, where you board a canopy steamboat for exotic encounters on some of the world's most treacherous rivers.
It is actually the longest river in the world.
Alongside wild animals.
It goes on for Niles and Niles.
And, oh yeah,
corny dad jokes.
And if you don't believe me, well, you're in
denial.
Denial, that's right.
Behind me is where I first got to be a skipper on the Jungle Cruise back in 2023. Hi, guys. Those zebras must be really old. They're still in black and white.
The Jungle Cruise is show business. The Jungle Cruise is comedy.
We ride Jungle Cruise to hear those corny jokes, and we love that.
You know, butterflies are just not what they used to be. Caterpillars.
Oh, don't worry about the hippos. They won't charge unless you give them your credit card. Guys, look what we found. the secret bathing pool of the Indian elephant. And it's okay to stare, they have their trunks on.
Oh my God. If I could have been a Jungle Cruise skipper.
Woo, look out. I mean, come on. Who doesn't want to do that?
Where were we? The Jungle Cruise is so show business, it even inspired its own blockbuster feature film, starring Dwayne Johnson and Emily Blunt.
When the movie came out, it was such a love letter to the skippers and what we do.
You know, before this, I used to work in an orange juice factory, but I got canned.
Why I think I love the Jungle Cruise so much, it still retains that sense of wonderment that it had for those first passengers 70 years ago.
Robert, what would you like to see?
I want to take the boat trip down the Congo.
But for Walt Disney, getting the attraction launched in 1955 was no walk in the park. You see what I did there.
Wanted an experience where you could transport the guests to a place that felt like you were having an adventure.
We're ready for a ride down the tropical waterways of the world.
You know, Adventureland was called True Life Adventure on the early maps.
And that was based on a series of documentaries that Walt had made in the 50s that were called the True Life Adventures.
This jungle locale teams with parrots.
Those films were educational films, so Walt was always interested in that.
He was very much of a conservationist. He loved nature.
Here's this genre of film that Walt had pretty much invented that's going to be commemorated inside the park as well. Harper Goff, which is the designer for Jungle Cruise and Adventureland, also looks to other movies for inspiration, such as The African Queen. The boats and the Jungle Cruise kind of look like boats from The African Queen.
Harper Goff, God bless him, went through and laid out the track for what would be the Jungle Cruise with a Jeep and drove through the orange grove and said, okay, we'll turn a corner here, we'll put a temple there, and then we'll go here. This can be an elephant kind of area, and then there'll be some hippos here.
The Imagineers that were working with Walt faced a lot of challenges. They put water in and it started seeping into the ground.
All of the water disappeared overnight. So what they did eventually was they sprayed cement to make a hard bottom for the river.
And you now see it's actually become a literal jungle with these plants that were, many of which were planted over 70 years ago.
The Jungle and Adventureland were done by brothers named Bill and Jack Evans.
They used a lot of tricks and did things to make it look like the jungles of the world.
And while they were putting the freeway, they would see the LA contractors rip up palm trees, and they would say, can we have that?
To try to get the trees that look like banyan trees, which are native to Africa. They just took a tree and buried it upside down, so it's the root structure that you see.
Of course, we knew that our biggest job would be recreating the actors of the wildlife dramas.
So Walt's original idea for the Jungle Cruise would be a boat ride, where on the banks you would see real animals. But during the day, animals really don't do much.
He thought, well, I'll just make some mechanized animals.
Luckily, he had a whole film industry full of sculptors and, craftspeople in the film industry. That kind of stuff was mind-blowing. And that became part of taking the audience to a place they couldn't go and telling them a story they hadn't heard.
Welcome aboard the Zambezi Mess.
When the Jungle Cruise first started, it was a little bit more educational at that time.
The Mekong River of Cochin, China.
It started off as a very dry, factual narration.
Half hidden by the foliage, we got our first glimpse.
Walt heard that skippers were starting to put jokes in, and he said, put me on a boat that does the jokes. And he loved it.
Maybe they're trying to ruin the ruins. You never can tell about monkey business, you know.
They had some puns in the beginning, but now they're full-blown scripts.
When we hand our brand new skippers that spiel, it can be intimidating because there are 600 jokes.
I was cramming like I was cramming for final exam. Joke after joke. My literal and metaphorical hats go off to the Jungle Cruise skippers who actually do this as their day job. And here it is, ladies and gentlemen. I think that the one that you really have to land is the backside of the falls speech.
It is the eighth wonder of the world.
It's just such an iconic line. The backside of water.
Here at the Jungle Cruise, we call that O2H.
O2H, O10.
It's a lot of
We are just going on this grand adventure and taking everybody on this good time with us.
That's an attraction where you have to say the cast member is the star.
Woo! I just saved your lives.
Coming up, before it was a hit movie.
Just hear me out, mate.
It was Walt's last attraction.
Here we're going to take them down a waterfall.
Plus, how superstars Robert Downey Jr. and Tom Hanks
That's great!
are leaving their own legacy at Disneyland. And a royal visit in the park and at home from none other than Harry and Meghan.
To go through all these lands and to see it through your children's eyes, it was just amazing.
There are going to be plenty of things to see and do. Most of all, you're going to see a lot of people having a lot of fun.
They leave going,
Disneyland might be turning 70, but it's only getting started.
This is what I love about Disney, is that he was ever evolving.
People are going to get on a boat here.
Dead men tell no tales.
The new park for a new millennium.
I've heard people say,
this is where Lightning McQueen lives, and Mater, and all the rest of them.
and I'm like, why can't I be a car?
Good job! And the castle, welcoming real-life royals.
It was amazing, and it brings out the kid in you again.
Harry and Meghan, fresh off a family visit.
And I think for us to be able to have our own childhood memories and then watch that play out through our daughter's birthday. And Archie said, when's my birthday?
Behind-the-scenes stories from an expanding Avengers campus.
Makes you scratch your head as to how they do that kind of thing.
There's no improving on the corn dog. That part stays, right?
Plus, before they were stars, they were cast members. Or wanted to be.
hello, Walt. Yep, I'm doing a special. That's probably where I would be if I didn't get on television.
I can imagine myself working there.
You know, life is full of surprises.
Disneyland taught me how to dream.
Ladies and gentlemen, Star Wars Galaxy's Edge is now open.
Walking into Galaxy's Edge was a wow. They're the ones that could have done the Millennium Falcon. And you're able to walk around it and everything, and that's fantastic.
All around Disneyland, guests are able to literally step into their favorite stories.
On your way.
Some of which used to exist only on film. But for some stories, it's the attraction that came first.
One of the most beloved attractions at Disneyland is Pirates of the Caribbean. That particular attraction was just built because Walt wanted pirates. He liked the stories.
Walt's fascination with pirates is reflected in his first live-action feature film, Treasure Island, released in 1950.
Pirates of the Caribbean was originally going to be a walkthrough, a wax museum walkthrough.
You could walk through a wax museum of pirates doing pirate things.
He starts to see maybe it could be a large capacity boat ride.
The Imagineers came up with this ride system. A boat, pirates, is perfect. The pirate characters, they're caricatures. A lot of them designed by Mark Davis, the brilliant animator who did Tinkerbell and Cruella de Vil.
And in keeping with tradition, Walt previews the not-yet-finished attraction on a 1965 episode of his television show.
Julie Ream was the ambassador of Disneyland, accompanies Walt on a tour of Walt Disney Imagineering.
It is here where we dream up all the future things for Disneyland.
Walt actually introduced me on the show.
I'd like to introduce Miss Julie Reams.
How do you do?
People are going to get on a boat here and ride through the lagoon, and then as they get around here, we're going to take them down a waterfall.
We looked at several of the mock-ups, the models.
This will animate when we have it in the show, you know.
That is absolutely fantastic.
He was just so very excited. The eyes would shine and they would just light up.
Sadly, he never actually was, able to see it come to life because he passed away about 4 months before it opened.
Pirates of the Caribbean opens in March of 1967.
me, it's Walt at his very best. When you start rolling down this slope in one of these boats, and all of a sudden you hear someone say,
Dead men tell no tale.
To me, you're immediately in this world of pirates, and it's so real.
Drink up, me hearties! Yo-ho!
Then, of course, Pirates inspires a blockbuster movie franchise, with Johnny Depp as Captain Jack Sparrow, a character not in the original attraction.
But you have heard of me.
But he's in there now.
Wait, is that Captain Jack Sparrow? That couldn't be.
And speaking of cameos, there's video of Johnny Depp himself, in character actually, surprising some Disneyland guests in 2017.
My name is Captain Jack Sparrow, and I would like to swim to you, jump in your boat. What?
Now, Pirates of the Caribbean is located in New Orleans Square, which happens to play host to another attraction that's had quite the evolution.
Ladies and gentlemen, for the best view of the portraits above, kindly drag your bodies away from the walls and into the dead center of the room.
You enter and you go in the elevator and you feel like you've gone down into another world.
All our ghosts have been dying to meet you.
It's magic.
Jamie Lee Curtis is a bit of a Haunted Mansion aficionado, having co-starred in the 2023 feature film
Set Me Free, and I will help you banish him.
with Tiffany Haddish.
Great song!
And before that, Eddie Murphy was shocked by the Haunted Mansion.
We tried to pay homage, though, to the original ride and create things the audience would go, oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, there's the graveyard. Oh, there's that singing bust.
And the Muppets also had a turn in the Haunted Mansion.
Awaken the spirits with your tambourine.
Haunted Mansion was an attraction that Walt envisioned early on. Earliest renderings of the park, there's a Haunted Mansion up on the hill.
And of course, Walt had done Lonesome Ghosts, a cartoon with Mickey Mouse. And the first Silly Symphony, the Skeleton Dance. It was there in the DNA of what Walt had done in films, but it had a long journey.
The visuals had a special sort of mystery, and there's Madame Leota floating.
Madame Leota, who is based on Leota Toombs, who was an Imagineer.
You go into Madame Leota's room, saying her seance in that crystal ball, and it's a projection on a mannequin head.
When I see all of the movie techniques that are used to create the illusions, and now that I know how all of it works, I appreciate it even more.
What's really weird is when you think of a Haunted Mansion, you think of this decrepit old kind of Munster's place with the shutters falling off and the paint peeling. Walt kept saying, no, it can't be that.
Walt didn't want anything at Disneyland to look dilapidated. He wouldn't have it.
He wanted to build a place that on the outside looked fine, but had a secret inside. And as a storyteller, that's really a lot more interesting.
Welcome, foolish mortals,
to the Haunted Mansion.
Those immortal words were spoken by voice actor Paul Frees. There's some great behind-the-scenes audio of Frees trying to nail that now iconic line.
Welcome, 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 foolish mortals, to the Haunted Mansion.
Beautiful. Now go ahead and do the laugh.
And here's something else from the vault. Check out a 19-year-old Kurt Russell in this 1970 TV special about the Haunted Mansion.
I thought you might like to see a film on how it was built and how some of the tricks were done.
Creepy creeps with eerie eyes. Grim grinning ghosts come out to socialize.
Maybe one day my face will end up on one of those buses. We'll see. I would love another Haunted Mansion movie. So we could even do haunted apartments, haunted condos, haunted townhouses. I'm just saying.
Coming up, it's a beloved classic that was almost a big buzz.
Walt was panic-stricken because they were behind the 8 ball.
Now adding something new for the next generation.
When there are opportunities to extend the story, we're going to.
It's a small world.
For 6 decades and counting, it's a Disneyland attraction that has delighted and inspired kids and their families from across the globe, vividly reminding us what we all have in common.
It's multi-generational. Grandparents, parents, kids, that they can all experience it together.
It just speaks to the themes that are as resonant for generations today as they were 60 plus years ago.
Familiar themes, but there are some new faces.
One of the newest additions is the Pixar film Coco.
I have a 4-year-old. She loves the Coco movie. She now specifically dreams of going through that scene to point out Dante and Miguel.
And then there's that iconic earworm song.
It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small world after all. It's a small, small world.
Inevitably stuck in our heads whether we like it or not.
It's a small world after all. No, anything but that.
It's a Small World is an undeniable classic.
And, the song, the happiness, the joy of that attraction just kind of surrounds you like a warm hug.
That storied history beginning at the 1964-65 New York World's Fair, where Walt's already planning 3 ambitious attractions.
Ford's Magic Skyway, great moments with Mr. Lincoln, the Carousel of Progress.
But the 4th one would have proceeds going to a charity, UNICEF. And Walt was very interested in this idea to support children from around the world.
And Walt, in his relentless pursuit of authenticity, he tasks his team to build audio animatronics figures of children dressed in their local costumes, set in vignettes of their home countries.
Guests were going to get on boats and then float by different countries or continents, and these small mechanical children would be singing their home nation's anthem.
East meets West. It's a small world.
When it was first mocked up, and they turned on all the speakers, and they pushed a boat through on wheels, and it immediately became apparent that it was a cacophony. You couldn't understand a thing.
The sound would bleed from one show stage area to the next, so that it was kind of a muddy mess.
And Walt was panic-stricken and said, "We have a big problem here. We cannot do what we planned."
To save the day, Walt reaches out to Robert and Richard Sherman, the brotherly songwriters who are already hard at work, composing music and lyrics for a little film you might have heard of.
Mary Poppins, practically perfect in every way.
Which would earn them 2 Oscars.
Walt asked the Sherman Brothers to compose a song so you can have different lyrics or different languages as you move through the ride, but the melody is going to stay the same.
People think it's a little novelty. It's a prayer for peace.
And singing that prayer? Kids. Lots of them. Their voices heard through a cast of almost 300 audio animatronic stalls. It's wildly popular at the World's Fair, so 2 years later, Walt gives it a Disneyland debut with the flair of a true showman.
Walt's there to officiate over in his park. He arranges for kids to bring water from rivers, from continents around the globe, and then to ceremoniously pour them into the flume of It's a Small World, so that the water there is actually a collection of water from all over the globe.
Decades and generations later, it continues to delight children and everybody else as well.
And you're looking around going like, I see myself, I see my family, I see my culture.
As much as people yammer that the song gets bored into their head and that they can't stop singing it, I love it.
My dad loved that song. He didn't care that people made fun of it because he knew that the message was getting through to a lot of people.
See, Richard Sherman had never forgotten the earnest spirit of world unity that had first inspired It's a Small World. So, in 2023, at age 94, with hundreds of Disney songs to his credit, along with his late brother, Richard Sherman offers the Walt Disney Company one final contribution.
He thought it would be a nice gift to write a new verse that reiterates that prayer for peace.
Richard visited me in my office.
Wow, I couldn't get over it, you know.
And he surprised me. He took out of his pocket a piece of paper, and on it was a new verse he had written for It's a Small World. And all of a sudden, he started singing it to me, and I remember, tears coming to my eyes. An incredibly magical moment.
Through our vast, wondrous land, where we stand hand in hand, it's a small world after all.
Fantastic. Fantastic. You are a treasure.
Thank you.
You are a true treasure.
Richard Sherman would not live long enough to see his new verse make its debut. But this year at Disneyland, his son Greg and his daughter Victoria would hear their father's last lyrics.
Exactly what they would have wanted. It was beautiful.
So this is kind of a last moment of embracing the legacy that I want to carry forward, and I just wish he was on the ride with me.
Next, the Magic Castle, where everyone's treated like royalty, including Meghan and Harry. And he's hit the parks before.
I remember losing it as a kid with all the characters, like losing it, like, oh, this is amazing.
For so many people, Disneyland is the place to celebrate life's milestones.
Well, it's just so magical. And I'm a Southern California girl, so being able to go to Disneyland is more accessible than it is for most people, but it's still the biggest treat in the world. One of my biggest experiences of Disneyland was going for grad night. Grad night is all high school seniors. You go after hours, it's dark. I don't even know why they let us do that, but it was the best.
That sounds like
because
a lot of fun.
it's so much fun.
That's something that I should probably do. Can you do that in your 40s?
Take, for example, Harry and Meghan, the Duke and Duchess of Sussex, visiting the park with their children, Prince Archie and Princess Lilibet, to celebrate Lily's 4th birthday.
For us to be able to have our own childhood memories and then watch that play out through our daughter's birthday. And Archie said, "When's my birthday?"
I remember losing it as a kid with all the characters, like losing it, like, oh, this is amazing.
When we see Harry with his own family, we immediately recall those images 31 years earlier of Diana on Splash Mountain with her sons and Disney World, her hair soaked, smiling, and just completely free. And it was so much more than a holiday.
With my mum.
You went with your mom?
Yeah, and my brother. I remember it very, very well. Space Mountain was one of my favorite things.
Still one of your favorite rides, by the way.
Of course. But I went round and round and round, probably 10, maybe 12 times, to see the kids throw themselves into these experiences when they had no idea what they're walking into. It was amazing, and it brings out the kid in you again.
No matter what kind of prince or princess you are, this castle seems to bring out the childlike wonder in all of us.
I'm Stephanie Beatriz, but you might know me as Mirabel Madrigal. Disneyland itself really reflects all of the United States, which I think is what Disney wanted to do in the first place. It makes me really proud as a Colombian American to have that part of us in the parks. It's really special.
A devoted Disneyland fan, Stephanie has celebrated personal milestones here throughout her life.
I went the day after I got engaged. I had my bachelorette there. I loved it. It was amazing. We dressed up. I remember being 15 and being with my dad, who's gone now, holding hands in the parks, and you're 15 and it's not cool anymore to hold your dad's hand. I wish he could be in the parks with us now.
There's something about Disneyland, the twinkle lights, the magic cookies, the parades. There is something gosh darn golly shucks wonderful about it. And when things are good, we can take something like that for granted. But when living gets hard, we all want a place to go that reminds us of the joy and optimism we felt about ourselves, about our lives, about this place.
13-year-old Madison DePola of Fort Myers, Florida, and her family needed that kind of place in 2023 when they received devastating news.
When you're told that your child has leukemia, you stop. Our four kind of stopped, and we're just focusing on that. And the world's still going.
While undergoing chemotherapy, Maddie grew fascinated by the creative uses of technology. So, when Make-A-Wish connected with her in the hospital, Maddie revealed her wish to meet a Disney Imagineer.
This dream of hers to be an Imagineer, that was extra important to her when she was going through treatment and feeling horrible.
Weeks later, she's in Glendale, California, arriving by limo to the Walt Disney Imagineering campus,
We have such a fun day for you planned. We are so excited you're here.
a top-secret workspace where Maddie gets to spend time with her idols and gets to see prototypes they're working on.
This is where Walt started this all, by the way. I don't know if you guys know that. This is the space.
But there's a huge surprise in store for Maddie.
You are actually the 170,000th wish child that has received a Disney wish. So we have something to commemorate that for you. You're the 170,000th wish.
Thank you. Being the 170,000th feels unreal. It's just, I don't know how I got that lucky.
Now 45 years strong, Make-A-Wish and Disney's partnership continues to make wishes come true for children facing critical illness.
To give a child who's suffering an opportunity to experience one of our parks, to have one of the happiest days in their lives is really, it's the essence of who we are as a company.
Every single hour, Disney is granting a wish from a Make-A-Wish child.
On July 17th, 2025, the rest of Maddie's wish coming true, visiting Disneyland on a guided tour, courtesy of those Imagineers that she idolizes.
We're going to go above and beyond to share with her everything we possibly can. It's our honor to be able to give that to her.
So what I want you to do is push down and push forward. There you go.
Then there's a final special gift for Maddie as she continues her journey toward becoming part of the next generation of Imagineers.
This is very special. Not a lot of people get these, if any. And I have a feeling, you see how Maddie, it says honorary Imagineer. I have a feeling that it's someday that honorary is not going to be there and you are going to be an Imagineer. I really believe that. So that is for you, okay?
Thank you.
Coming up, Walt said Disneyland will never be completed. So how are Walt Disney Imagineers preparing to turn you into an Avenger?
We absolutely got notes directly from Tony Stark.
A sneak peek next.
There's always going to be room for superhero stories.
To quote Iron Man, heroes aren't born, they're built. Well, take a look at what they're building at Disneyland, with a little help from Iron Man himself.
We're building this amazing new attraction, and Robert Downey Jr. wanted to be a part of it. So he's now come to Imagineering multiple times.
You want to talk about a closed set? It's the Area 51 fun. That's how I describe it.
Earlier this year at South by Southwest, he revealed that guests will get to soar just like his iconic character in a new attraction called Stark Flight Lab.
We absolutely got notes directly from Tony Stark.
But as much as you can bring humor and wit into a robot arm, we're doing it.
It's coming to Avengers Campus. That's an entire land themed after the several hundred some odd superheroes in a certain cinematic universe.
What's fun about Avengers Campus is that you get to meet your heroes.
Why, yes, I'd love to take a picture.
And also become a hero yourself.
Front and center, let's look like heroes.
Being able to go and experience one of our adventures with our characters, that's been astounding.
It's all part of Disney California Adventure. That's the park that's next door to Disneyland, which debuted at the turn of the millennium.
What I think is really interesting about the other park is that I don't envy its designers. It's one thing to take a crack at copying Mona Lisa. It's another thing to hang it up next to the original.
Truth be told, it did have a bit of a rocky start.
So, Disneyland Park was a great destination, but it wasn't a place you spent multiple days.
It was always a problem during Walt's era because he only had a limited amount of acreage.
Well, we had a big parking lot. Why not build another park?
So enter an opportunity to develop land that we had and take what was once a parking lot and bring new types of experiences.
With an explosion of fireworks and song, Disney unveiled its new $1.4 billion theme park.
But there's more to California Adventure than just the rides. There's shows, games, food, lots of food.
Disney's California Adventure is really not a fantasy-based experience like Disneyland. It's really a reality-based experience, and it's a celebration of the California dream.
Some of the attractions like Grizzly River Rapids or Napa, you can see that just California's the theme, and it's California Adventure.
When we first opened, Soarin' was by far like the coolest attraction. It had never been done before.
Soaring over California blew my mind. It was as if you were a bird flying over the state of California, and the smell of the orange groves would be shot out through little, smell-o-vision.
I was like, wow, this is cool, like sensory overload. We just, went over everything. That was super cool, over the ocean and stuff. I thought that was so beautiful.
Buckle up, hang on.
And the idea from that came from Mark Sumner, one of our Imagineers.
That worked on it over a Thanksgiving weekend with an erector set.
I got up in my attic and I dug out my old erector set, the one my parents gave me when I was a kid.
And that's exactly how it works.
It's probably 99% works like this little model does.
Hello and welcome to Soarin'.
In Soarin', we needed to have a pilot who was funny, and Patrick Warburton perfectly fit the bill.
I almost made him a bit more like a pilot, I guess, is what I was thinking, even though he was a flight attendant.
My name is Patrick, and I'll be your chief flight attendant.
He could read the Manhattan phone book and make it funny.
If smaller aviators don't measure up to the height indicator on the seat, just put the belt through the loop in the center strap before buckling. Nice work, pal.
Soarin' to tower, we are ready for takeoff.
While some standout attractions do soar, critics feel the magic is lacking across Disney California Adventure, and that shows in its lackluster attendance early on.
California Adventure was, in the end, a disappointment for many people. It didn't have enough Disney in it either. It was California, and I think people expected more Disney.
One of the things that Walt loved most about Disneyland was that it could continue to evolve and change. How can we do it more immersively? And in the case of Disney California Adventure, our guests told us they wanted to be more immersed in the stories.
At some point, Disney realized, well, this was a mistake, we're gonna have to do better. People expect more.
And so the addition of Cars Land, the addition of Pixar Pier, of Buena Vista Street, were steps towards that goal.
Welcome to Race Day
in Radiator Springs.
I think Cars Land gets credit for being Disney's first immersive land, where we took something that guests had fallen in love with in a movie, and we literally put them in that movie.
Yeah, good job!
I've heard people say, this is where Lightning McQueen lives, and Mater, and all the rest of them.
And if we can bring them down that Route 66, not just California Route 66, but the Route 66 from the Pixar film, we can also experience California in that way.
It feels huge when you walk in there.
We paint the mountains to make the tops of it look further away. It's our forced perspective tricks we first started with Disneyland.
Cars Land is great. Radiator Springs at night with all the neon is really wonderful. Great ride, the racing ride there.
And I'm like, why can't I be a car? I'll be a bucket.
So now I'm like, what's the new stuff now?
So the expansion for Avengers Campus will double the size of the campus.
Avengers Affinity Defense is going to be at epic scale.
Where we're going to, alongside the Avengers, have to defeat King Thanos, save our world.
And then, not to be outdone, we have Pandora and Avatar.
Yeah!
That will also be coming to Disney California Adventure.
It's telling a totally brand new story in a different area of Pandora, working more with inspiration from the second film, The Way of Water.
We're bringing Coco for the first time to one of our theme parks. All examples, again, of bringing stories to life in a very physical and real way.
It's been really great to watch the evolution of Disney California Adventure as it's kind of come onto its own and found its own voice.
And that's exciting to see how generations have evolved and how that park has evolved.
Nice work, pal.
Good job! She's a figurine.
When we return, how Tom Hanks became part of Disneyland history, at least to his daughter.
I was like, yeah, Dad, like, this is your legacy. Like, Woody will be here forever.
We have about 10 seconds to get down to Disneyland for the big anniversary celebration. Tink!
I happen to love Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Train.
The Matterhorn.
Woo! Mr. Toad's Wild Ride. I love that one.
The Incredicoaster.
I tell everybody now my favorite attraction at Disneyland is the park bench.
Everybody has their must-dos at Disneyland, and there is an art to it, the planning of it.
If anybody needs a how to do Disney right, I have a memo. It's multiple pages long. It's taken me years to write, and I give it away as my act of charity to humanity.
But there are some traditions that just happen, even as you're going about your day.
I've got to get down and start getting ready to cover the parade, which is going to go down Main Street.
Walt Disney always said he loved a parade. When he was a child, he would get excited about the circus coming into town and seeing the parades. And he loved all of that. He loved music. And the first parade he had, of course, was on opening day.
And there's Mickey and Minnie Mouse and all of the gang cavorting up and down the street.
On opening day in July 1955, visitors get their first in-the-flesh, in-the-park glimpse of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, riding on a float.
One of the greatest gifts that Walt gave us was the permission, the license to know that Disneyland will never be finished. There's always going to be something new to redevelop, to reimagine, to bring to life.
You know, this is one of my favorite times of the day here, just about sundown.
There's two different Disneylands, okay? Just know this. There's two different Disneylands. There's daytime Disney, which is full of kids and all these characters and but then there's nighttime Disney.
And then Disneyland just transforms when the lights come on.
We used lights.
Well, from that, we get an idea of the kind of lighting we want at night.
When the park first opened, Walt Disney, the ultimate showman/businessman, found a way to promote the park after hours to get people to stay after hours.
Seems like a new kind of magic takes over in Disneyland after dark.
Walt has this unique problem. It's bringing people into the park, but they're leaving around dinner time, and the park's still open to 9 or 10 in the evening. And Walt wants to find a way to incentivize people to stay all the way to the end of the night.
Enter entertainment.
Parades and nighttime spectaculars are part of the DNA of Disneyland and something that we all want to see when we come to Disneyland every time.
Some of them have become mainstays, like the Paint the Night Parade, back on Main Street, USA for the anniversary, featuring over 1 million LED lights, illuminating classic Disney characters, from Tinkerbell to Ariel, the Little Mermaid, with her father King Triton standing 12 feet tall. And check out Mac, the longest vehicle in the parade at 54 feet. One of the chief designers behind the nighttime spectaculars took us behind the curtain, if you will.
Hi, my name is Jennifer McGill. I am executive producer with Disney Live Entertainment here in Anaheim.
She's taking us inside a space that's rarely seen.
Super secret, so don't tell anyone.
Part of McGill's Disney After Dark portfolio, the state-of-the-art light projections and pyrotechnics bringing the new world of color happiness. It's inspired by those iconic words from Walt at the opening day dedication.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
We gotta wake this place up. I'm gonna need some help.
World of Color it's a show, honey. That's a show.
World of Color is a fountain show here at Disney California Adventure.
The stage for this show? Water. 16 million gallons of it along Paradise Bay.
It's more than just fountains, though. It's got lights, it's got effects, it's got projections. But what I really love is that we have the characters from inside out that are hosting and telling the story. So World of Color Happiness is really digging in and figuring out what makes us happy.
And when we all shine together like that, what a rainbow.
But we are looking for a lost toy.
You know, my dad is another great American artist whose legacy will hopefully stand the test of time.
Actor Tom Hanks' daughter Elizabeth is a self-proclaimed Disneyland girl, as she writes in her book, The 10, a memoir of family and the open road.
Disneyland ensures that part of my dad will live forever. For many, many people, his most significant role is Woody. At the end of Fantasmic, there's Snow White, there's Goofy. On the very back of the boat that night was Woody. I was crying and my dad looked at me like, what's up? And I was like, yeah, Dad, like this is your legacy. Like Woody will be here forever. Hopefully many, many years from now when I don't get to talk to my dad, I'll still be able to go to Disneyland and talk to Woody.
Now you may be wondering about those customary fireworks. Where did they come from?
Walt wanted to send off his guests with something special. And so a fireworks show was Walt's kiss goodnight to all of his guests.
Walt always thought of Disneyland as a show. And so you come in and you experience the park almost in a theatrical manner.
True to form, Walt took inspiration from one of his iconic animated characters. His acclaimed TV show, Walt Disney's Disneyland, opened with glimpses of Tinkerbell flying through the sky, a wave of her wand producing fireworks. So in the early days, Tinkerbell was a disappointing no-show, until Walt was able to hire a famous circus performer named, wait for it, Tiny Klein, a 71-year-old who could fly over the park by harness, leading to a legacy of characters flying over Disneyland.
And that's where the spectaculars really came from. Something that you could send your guests away with feeling like they've seen something truly magical that they couldn't see anywhere else.
Coming up, before he made movies,
when I wore a little straw hat,
he made magic at Disneyland.
The people that work at Disneyland love it.
"70 years ago, the world was introduced to the idea of a cast member. We call them cast members because they're part of the show. Sure, our fireworks are beautiful, our attractions are great, but our secret power at Disney is our cast members. Our cast members' ability to connect with our guests, it is incredibly powerful. That is the magic.
Our cast members deeply care about this place. They are proud to be here.
Whether it is the people who work behind the counter at the restaurant or work front of attractions, they are all a part of the experience.
Speaking of cast members, did you know that before he was a fixture on Hulu's Only Murders in the Building, we did it? Steve Martin's first job at the Walt Disney Company was his first job ever. He spoke to our own Barbara Walters about it back in 1978.
This is in 1955 when it first opened. And I was 10 years old and I wanted a job. And I heard that they were hiring kids to sell the Disneyland News. So I went down and I applied and I got the job, and I wore a little straw hat and a little vest and a little 1890s tie, and it was fantastic.
The people that work at Disneyland love it.
That's probably where I would be if I didn't get on television.
I love just talking to them, especially the ones that have been there a long time.
Perfect segue. Meet Henry Hank Amin, Disneyland's longest-serving cast member.
My name is Henry Amin, but I go by Hank.
At 93 years old, Hank still strolls the sidewalks of Main Street, USA, with the same enthusiasm he had back when he started as a Jungle Cruise skipper in 1958.
Well, you know, I'm so surprised that I've been here as long as I have. When somebody tells me that I've been here that long, I just have to pinch myself. I hope you all had a good trip.
Today, Hank is a proud member of the Disneyland Fire Department.
I'm surrounded by people who are smart and positive thinkers, and I enjoy that. I learn from them, and I hope they learn from me. I always say, a smile will bring a smile. A laugh will bring a laugh. It's a common language.
Anytime our guests get a chance to interact with those who had a part in building this in some way, that's a big deal for them. It's really special.
Just look at the crowd Imagineer Bob Gurr drew at our shoot.
My favorite Disneyland attraction, obviously, it's my fire engine.
You can really tell how much affection and admiration there is for people like Bob, who built this place. And the affection he has for Walt, who inspired him.
The last photograph of Walt and his park was in the fire engine in front of the castle with his buddy Mickey Mouse. There's a joy in watching people give back the love that Disneyland gave to them. And it's generation after generation after generation. That's the feedback loop that tells Walt Disney this was so completely right a thing to do. When you can have a connection with millions of people from the heart. And I can come here and I can do a little of that.
And in the end, that's what Disneyland is all about. Making memories, creating shared experiences, and leaving us, well, happy.
It's a commitment to excellence, and it all started really with Walt.
One of the many things that I find overwhelmingly inspirational about Walt Disney's story is his ability to walk through an orchard in Anaheim and see what it could become.
It has and continues to live up to Walt's promise. This is a place that will always continue to evolve, that will always continue to inspire. That's what makes this place incredible.
You in a whole nother dimension. You in Disneyland, where dreams can come true.
And if that isn't the gift of Walt Disney, I'm not sure what is.
I just want to leave you with this thought that it's just been a sort of dress rehearsal and that we're just getting started. So if any of you start to rest on your laurels, I mean, just forget it. We're just getting started.